Hello, it is Chrisoula Sirigou, the Golden Muse, and another 10-minute holistic Mastercall. And you know how much I love nature, and all of you people out there that are actually watching this, you have got this particular gift, a particular inclination or intention to spend more time with nature. And nature is one of these naturally given to us to create that, space for inner peace. So it is a wonderful opportunity for us just to connect with nature. But sometimes it's equally important to create our own little sanctuary in our gardens. So this is a space where we can nurture our body, mind, and soul. And this is why I have invited Dyer today, my guest, to share a little bit about her passion and her own creativity with gardens and playfulness, and her own 3 tips when you are deciding to take on board creation of a new garden or recreating your garden, if you like. What is the 3 key tips to bear in mind? So Joe, a warm welcome to today's 10-minute holistic master call.
Thank you, Chrisoula. I'm really pleased to be here. Thank you.
So wonderful to hear a little bit about your own sort of passion, about the reason why you are so much involved with gardening and you love creating beautiful gardens for other people.
Yes, I do, and I do love gardens, and I think there are lots of reasons. I think mainly because I've learned that gardens give so much to us, and they are really important places where we can express who we are. Mm-hmm. And connect with what's really important to us. When we're working in our gardens, we connect with the soil and with all the creatures that share the garden with us, and it somehow teaches us humility. Mm-hmm. and connects us to everything that's important. And it's very grounding and very nourishing.
Absolutely.
And I think that's really what it is about gardening that I love so much.
Mm-hmm. But equally, you love creating the spaces for other people, so to help them make that possible for them.
Yes, that's right. I mean, I gardens have given me so much, and I want to help people, to do the same. Mm-hmm. I want to help people be nourished by their own garden spaces in ways that are really meaningful to them.
Yes.
So that they get what they need from their garden, and it's all different for everybody.
Absolutely fantastic. So on today's master call, you have agreed to offer 3 wonderful tips, 3 I would say inspirational tips when we start to create our garden. Or I'm sure there are lots of you who have said, I'd like to do something with my garden, but I haven't got the inclination or the inspiration, or I don't know where to start from. So let's start with your number 1 tip.
My number 1 tip right at the beginning is to get in touch with your garden. Go into your garden or sit in your favourite seat looking over the garden, and use all your senses to visualise the kind of garden that you want. Mm-hmm. And ask yourself these questions. How do I want my garden to feel? Because that's the most important thing. How do I want my garden to feel? How do I want my garden to look? How do I want it to smell? Because that's very important. Fragrance is really important in the garden. How do I want it to smell? How do I want it to sound? Because the garden is full of wonderful sounds. And so do you want to hear water, for example, or do you like the rustling of bamboo and grasses, that sort of thing? Do you want birds in your garden so that you can hear birdsong? So how do you want your garden to sound? And you might even want to grow food. So how do you want your garden to taste?
Right.
So all your senses, and tune in with all your senses to what kind of a garden you want. And that's my first tip.
Right, beautiful. So yes, it is a very much essential experience, isn't it? A gardening sanctuary, a personal space where you can find you're connected with all the nature, but also connecting with yourself. That's equally important.
All these a garden is so personal, and everybody wants their garden to be different, and everybody's garden is different.
Absolutely.
It's its own little, sort of ecosystem and microclimate and things. So it is different, and thinking about those questions, I would encourage people to then ask themselves, which is the most important to me? Is fragrance the most important thing? Is colour the most important thing? Is it the flowers? Or is it the wildlife? What is the most important thing to me in my garden? And that's your starting point. What's important.
Okay, brilliant. So in a way, it is a little bit of a self-reflection time to really feel into what you want to have in your garden, in your personal space.
Yes,
fabulous. Okay, so let's moving on to tip number 2.
Number 2 is more practical.
Okay, we like practical.
Having done this wonderful visualization, so you've got this idea of the beautiful garden that you want. The next question is more practical in the sense that how do I want to use my garden? What am I going to do in my garden? Do I want to primarily sit and enjoy it? And smell it and hear it and enjoy entertaining friends in it, or do I want to work in it? So what do I want to use my garden for? And that really tells you what features you want to put into the garden, and it helps you create a layout for the garden, because you might want a seating area. You might want 2 or 3 seating areas, or you might want a greenhouse. And where are you going to put these things? And also, as well as how am I going to use my garden, it's how much time do I want to spend actually gardening, because that's a very, very important question. You need to be realistic and not delude yourself in a way, that you've got more time than you have.
Yes.
And different garden styles require different amount of work. So if you're going to grow food, for example, that takes up a lot of time. But if you're going to have a more naturalistic wildlife garden, that takes less time, and it's different jobs, So it's what do I want to use my garden for, and how much time do I want to spend gardening? Very practical.
Yeah, that would definitely help me out, because I'm not somebody. I love connecting with Mother Earth. I think flower arrangement is one of the most mindfulness. I would say, the moments when you really feel mindfulness, it's just wonderful to be in touch with flowers. But I don't know how much I would have loved to dedicate my time to actual, digging, and you know what I mean? Yeah, I think an easy type of garden, it would suit me, with lots of smells and colors, and inviting bees and birds in it.
That's right. And you'd be surprised, Chrisoula, how little digging is necessary in a garden.
Oh, fantastic. That's brilliant. That's really good.
Everybody always thinks you spend a lot of time digging, but you don't.
Okay.
You don't. I don't think you need to.
That's it. We demystify that area. That's great.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Okay. So we have gone through the first tip, which is in including all the senses, and take the time to fill into the type of garden you would like to have, and all the senses. So it is a pandemonium of senses, isn't it? A garden. And the second tip was being the functionality behind it. So the practical way of really filling into, again, how much time have I got available, and how much time I like to commit to look after my garden.
That's right.
And the shape of it, and who I would like to how would I like to use it, basically.
Yes.
And the third tip is?
The third tip is to relax and take your time.
Mm-hmm.
And not rush, because the garden is there, and it's going to evolve in its own time, and I think you need to sort of take a deep breath and try not to worry about making mistakes, and just tune into the garden and listen to the garden, what the garden's telling you it wants, because it will do if you give it time and you listen to it. It will become clear to you over time what your garden can be, how it can be, what sorts of plants that you need to include, and And you can't rush it. You know, it's something that has its own process.
Right.
And I think a lot of people, you know, that they get very worried and very stressed about making mistakes, you know, and getting it wrong. And if you just take your time, tune in to yourself and your garden, and have a conversation with it in a way, and just enjoy it. Try not to get too stressed,
too worried about it. Yes.
Yeah, there's no need for that.
Well, it is true that when we start worrying and getting anxious, then inspiration goes away.
That's
inspiration says, no, I don't like it here, I'm going away, I'm going somewhere else, because there's too much negativity, too much anxiety, overwhelm. So when you're, you know, less sort of in the sense of overwhelm, inspiration comes in, and then, as you said, Joe, you connect with your garden, and then you can actually feel more into what your garden could look like, and you can have more option for creativity. That's what you're saying here. Yeah,
I think that's right. I think it's difficult to put into words, but it's relax, enjoy, breathe, tune in, connect, and it will come to you.
Yeah. So also it is like everything in life. It is, you're going through a process. Then you're starting with step by. It's like a step-by-step approach, isn't it, Joe? That's again very important to think of, that we cannot have the overall final thing within a week. Because anything needs to grow and then take shape, and the flowers and the plants and everything else that you include in there. It takes time.
It does, and don't try to do it all at once. You know, do sections, because you'll change your mind.
Yeah, and you're allowed to change your mind. That's the other thing. You're allowed to. Yeah.
Absolutely. I've lost count of the number of times I've changed my mind about my garden.
And that's the space where you can do that. You can be creative with that. Yeah.
Yes. Remember, you know, you can do what you want.
Yeah. And playfulness is part of it, and enjoyment all is part of having your own garden. Yes. Yeah. Fabulous. Thank you so much, Joe, for sharing your top tips in creating a garden, or starting from scratch, or recreating a garden you got. And Joe, where can we find you?
Right, you can find me on the internet. I have a website, www.reallyusefulgardens.co.uk. You can find me on Facebook. My page is called Really Useful Gardens. And I run a group called the Nourishing Garden Club. And I'm on Instagram. I put photographs up on Instagram, really-useful-gardens.
Yes.
And I'm based in Belper in Derbyshire.
Fabulous.
So you can contact me via my website if you want to have a chat about your garden. You know, if you do these three things and you still are thinking, oh my goodness, I don't really know where to start with this, and you need some help, then you can contact me via my website.
Yes, it would be wonderful to have Joe as your guide, as your visionary guide. I don't know, like somebody who can take you step by step and see how you can feel into the process, and then see your garden evolve, because it's all about evolution in life, isn't it?
Yeah.
So and also your group, when do you meet? How often do you meet?
No, the Nourishing Garden Club is a Facebook group.
Oh, fantastic.
So anybody can join. It's a closed group, so you have to ask to join. It's not a public group, it's a closed group. So anybody can join that, and we share photographs, and and I do videos of my own garden and share my garden, because my garden's a new garden, so I'm working on it. So I share what I'm doing with my garden, and and we do all sorts of things.
Brilliant.
The things that I do most is I offer consultation, advice and guidance is what I do mainly, and design. I do planting plans and things like that. So
brilliant. Brilliant. So all of that, our conversation and this video of the 10-minute holistic master call with Joe Dyer will be also in a blog article that you can find on my website, chrisoulasirigou.com or goldenmuse.eu. So that there's a number of other blog articles you can actually have a look and connect with other holistic practitioners and educators, authors, and people like Joe who love creating and love offering support to make your personal garden your personal sanctuary. So thank you, Joe, once again.
Well, thank you very much, Chrisoula. It's been a pleasure.
Right, so we'll be back with another 10-minute holistic master call very soon. So until then, enjoy.